All right, let's get right into it. Today we're diving into a pretty fascinating story of tension, and it's happening at the very top of Vietnam's infrastructure. We're talking about the Airports Corporation of Vietnam, or ACV, and really it's a story about immense power, a ton of cash, and a long, frustrating wait for answers.
So first things first, let's be clear about who we're talking about here. Tổng Công ty Cảng Hàng không Việt Nam. Now that's an official name that sounds powerful, for a very good reason, because this one company controls something absolutely essential to the country's connection to the rest of the world.
And what they control is, well, basically the sky gate for the entire nation. ACV has a near monopoly on all airport operations in Vietnam. Just think about that for a second. Every single flight, every passenger, every bit of cargo, it all passes through their hands.
So let's start with just the incredible scale of this operation. We're calling this section the Sky Gates.
You know, you see these massive airports, right? Kilometers and kilometers of concrete runways, huge terminals just buzzing with people. It's a picture of modern, powerful infrastructure. But behind that really impressive image, there's a whole different story playing out. It's a story full of questions from shareholders, and those questions seem to stretch on just as long as the runways themselves.
And this really gets us to the heart of the conflict here, the massive difference between the company's financial reality and the reality for its investors. It's a tale of cash flow and a whole lot of questions.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because you're looking at two completely different worlds. On one side, you've got ACV's reality. I mean, they're sitting on a huge, steady stream of cash from airport fees, all protected by their monopoly. It's an incredible position to be in, right? But then, you look at the other side, the investor's reality. What do they see? They see projects that seem to drag on forever, plans that just soak up enormous amounts of cash, and the promise of profits that always seems to be just around the corner but never actually arrives. The big question is, where's all that cash going?
You know, this feeling of just waiting and waiting has become so deep that it's actually sparked this really powerful metaphor, one that's pulled from Vietnamese folklore. It's the story of a wait that's so long it turns you to stone. And this quote just perfectly captures the feeling, the emotion of it all. The source material points out that shareholders see themselves in the legend of Tô Thị, a woman who waited so long for her husband to come back from war that she and her child literally turned to stone. It's a powerful story of loyalty and patience, but also of a tragic, endless stillness. So what are they actually waiting for? It's not some abstract idea. It's very real, very concrete stuff. They are waiting for dividends, their share of those massive profits. They're waiting for transparency, a clear look at the company's books and its decisions. And maybe most of all, they're waiting for a clear, solid strategy for the future that shows them how their investment is ever going to pay off. It's a poetic way to put it, but it's also just deeply frustrating. The waiting has gone on for so long that it feels permanent. It's like they themselves have become these statues, monuments to patience, just frozen in place. But see, a wait like this, it has consequences. It starts to chip away at the very foundation of any investment, and that's trust. And that brings us to this idea of the relationship between trust and a runway. Because there's always a point where patience just runs out. You know, in French, they have a saying, trop, c'est trop. It means too much is too much. Enough is enough. And it feels like a breaking point has finally been reached. And this is where that beautiful old legend of Tô Thị takes a really cynical modern twist. The feeling isn't just one of sad, noble waiting anymore. Now, the fear is that this stone statue, this symbol of their loyalty, is about to get smashed up and burned in a kiln for someone else's profit. That their faith won't just be ignored, it'll be actively destroyed. And this all leads to what might be the most powerful analogy in this entire story. For an investor, trust isn't just some vague feeling. It's a critical piece of infrastructure. It's like a runway.
Just think about that. A plane can have the most powerful engines in the world, right? But if that runway is too short, it is never ever getting off the ground. For investors, trust is that runway. And if there isn't enough of it, if it's not long enough, then confidence can't take off. Capital stays grounded, and the whole thing just stays stuck. So all of this, the money, the endless waiting, the broken trust, it all funnels down into one very pointed question. A question of accountability. The final question.
And the source material leaves us with this really provocative thought, and it's aimed squarely at the company's leadership. Does Vu Thay Phiet single-handedly obscure the sky? Wow, what a striking image.
Can one person's leadership really cast such a big shadow that it blocks the view for everyone else? We're not here to answer that, but it is the question that's hanging over ACV, its investors, and the sky gates of Vietnam itself.